Today I'm going to present from the preview app, and we're going to look at the slides that I sent out to everybody. Now, all these slides were made in the Keynote app on the Mac, and the Keynote has a strong presentation system, and I was working on that, and just to speed things along, I'm going to present it from preview. Now, this is the first sheet of the slides that I sent out, and a few of you are new to my classes, so I want to explain what's going on here. Up in the upper right-hand corner, I have a time marker here, and this is to try to keep me on track to get through my designated slides in the time period. And so I use that just to keep me on track. As long as I don't exceed this time, I'm going to be able to complete on time. Then in the pictures here are the 4 current or most recent Apple Mac products. We have the MacBook Air here, the iMac 24-inch, the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini is what I use. Now, inside each of these pictures, there's a link, a clickable link in your slide to go to the Apple website and read, like, this is why I should have a MacBook Air, at least in Apple's opinion. Then down here, we have a refurbished price guide. This is the cheapest way to buy a Mac from Apple or any Apple product. I'm going to click on this link, and it brings me up here at Apple web. This is the Apple website with certified refurbished units, and you can search through here, and it changes every day. So if you see something you want, you better buy it because it won't be there next time possibly. But these are units that Apple has sold or loaned to somebody to write a review, and they come back in and they go completely retested. And you can read about the process up here, more about the process. You can do your searches over here. I'm gonna minimize it, or just limit this to Mac Minis, and then you can look at the release year, and they're only showing 2020s here, and that happens to be the version of the Mac that I have. So this Mac originally cost $699, but you could get it refurbished for $589. And it comes with the same warranty as a brand new Mac. It comes in new packaging, all the wires and cables are all new, that sort of thing. And it's backed just like you bought it brand new. And I believe you can return anything to Apple within 2 weeks and get full money back. There's no restocking fee or anything. Go back to my slides, and now here's what a new price of Macs would be. And this is a website here, Apple Insider, and you can shop for your different Macs. And when you shop, this is Apple's list price, and these are all different places you can buy online. And Apple, there's Amazon, Best Buy. You can do those at the local store. But it tries to find the best price, and the highlighted prices are the cheapest. And this is the savings or discount off of these new units. Another one that doesn't show here is Amazon now is an authorized reseller of Macs. So that's always a good place. And they have specials that come and go, and they knock 100 or 150 off the price sometimes. So it's always good to check that. And I'll look at one of these things here. I guess I'll look at that, stay with the Mac Mini. Here's Apple's website, and they're showing, this is a Mac Mini next to their big monitor. So this is a tower computer except it's 7.7 inches square in this direction and back, and it's a little less than 2 inches tall. That's considered a desktop tower computer. Now they have a pro computer that's much bigger, and it does look like a real tower, but probably no one in this group is interested in that. But you're welcome to check out these links. Now I'm right on time. I'm switching to the next slide. And what this slide's titled, Why I Tried the Mac. And here's the picture of the back of my original Mac Mini. And well, when I tried my Mac, most of my family and friends were already using Mac. And they were kind of saying, hey, why don't you do this? Well, I worked a long time using in industry, using a lot of different computers and using PC computers and mainframes and workstations and so forth. And I just thought a Mac was just an overpriced, good looking, but overpriced piece of equipment that I could do the same thing with cheaper equipment. So I never got too excited about it. But I was retired at the time. I'd been retired a few years, so I didn't need to be compatible with a work computer. The design was small and clean looking, and here's the main thing. My kids, or our kids, gave me a 2011 Mac Mini as a gift, and I right now I don't remember whether it was a Christmas or birthday, but anyway, since it was gifted to me, I was retired, I really had no excuse not to try it. So I hooked that Mac Mini up to the same monitor that I was using on my Windows XP PC. And at the time, I never made the switch to Vista because I heard so many bad things about Vista. But at this point in time, I was considering going to Windows 7, but I was going to have a new computer to do that. Well, why should I spend money when my old Windows XP was doing everything I needed to do? I'm not a powerhouse user or anything. So to use this, I actually unhooked my keyboard and mouse and speakers from my Windows PC and hooked it into the back of my Mac Mini into here. And you can see these are the speaker area here. And here's some USBs. And that original Mac Mini each even came with an HDMI port. Well, I didn't have any HDMI devices that time, so I had to buy an adapter to adapt that to VGA. And then here's where you plug the Ethernet cable in, or you can do wireless. And this also had FireWire 800, which is a proprietary Apple connection device. This was a USB 2, and FireWire is kind of in between USB 2 and USB 3 for speed and capability. And the software I was using here on this was OS 10, 10.7, which is called Lion. And that was the first distribution of software that Apple made that didn't come on a disk. It only was a downloaded thing. Eventually, they came out with some sticks you could get it on, but this Bill was supposed to be in this class today, but they just sent me an email. This was the first unit that Apple made of the Mac Mini that did not have a DVD drive in it at all. When you open up the case, there were just a hollow space. And I later took advantage of that and added a second disk drive in this unit that's less than 2 inches tall. Okay, so why did I switch? I tried it, but why did I switch? Well, I found out when I was using this, and I would walk in and plug into my keyboard into whichever unit I was going to work with, and it popped up on the monitor. And I found myself using the Mac more and more and the PC less and less. I didn't have to install or update drivers or antivirus. It seemed like all the drivers I need, and I didn't need a lot, were already there, or it just went and found them, but magically it appeared. It had a built-in software called Time Machine. And you can see that up here in my menu bar at the top. This is the icon represents Time Machine. The last time it backed up to that disk drive, and you can have multiple disk drives at 9:16, about an hour ago. And if I enter Time Machine, well, this isn't a good place to enter Time Machine. You need to enter that from a different spot, but we'll get into that. But So that was about the same time that when I was attending the STUG users meeting, they were talking about the backup software, and it took like a whole meeting to explain how to do the backup software. This backup is just automatic. When you first get a new Mac and you plug a disk in, and it says, "Hey, you don't have a backup running. Can I use this disk for Time Machine? Can I back up on this disk?" Until you set it up, it kind of keeps after you to do that. And once you say yes, it goes ahead and formats the drive and does everything. It's really slick the way it works. Another reason I like this Mac was that compared to my PC, the Mac booted and woke up from sleep very fast. Not quite as fast as the iOS products at that time, but it was sure fast compared to my old PC. And this Mac never seemed to crash. If it did, you could force quit a single app. You didn't have to reboot. You could force quit a single application, restart that application. Didn't have to shut all the way down. And iTunes was built in, and at the time I was using an iPod Touch for my music, and that really worked well. Then I realized that the software updates were free. The software that came with my original Mac was the last software Apple has charged for the main operating system, and that was in 2011. So I haven't had to pay for any updates since then. I didn't have to defrag my hard drive at all. And when I switch from one app to another app, there seems to be a very consistent appearance between the apps and how they work. It's not like when you go between Word and Excel, it looks like two different companies made those apps. And then built into the Mac, there's an app store, and I got that right away in 2011. And there's also Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper tries to keep you from installing unapproved apps, and it'll allow you, but you're going to have to override it. It's trying to protect you all the time. And in summary, I liked it after giving it a try. I was really hesitant before I tried a Mac, but this kind of made me switch to liking it. Ready for the next slide here. Now we're 9 years later, or 10 actually. And there's additional reasons to like the Mac, and a lot of it's to do with the Apple ecosystem. But one of the good things about the Apple ecosystem is they have a line of devices that can be synced together using iCloud, and that's very important. And then another thing is they've added, this wasn't in the original Mac Mini that I had, but they've added something called continuity. You can start working, you can start writing an email or a letter or doing a spreadsheet on one device and pick it up in the middle on another device, because these devices sort of communicate to each other and let you hand stuff off from one device to another. And also recently, they've allowed some of the iPad apps, since I'm working on an M1 Mac Mini, that means the computer chip is made by Apple. Instead of using Intel chips like they have for quite a while, Apple switched to their own chip, which is sort of modified, like a modified iPhone, iPad chip, but modified for the Mac to have some different properties. A Mac would want, it needs more graphics capability, and also it needs more memory than a phone would do. And then when you buy an Apple product, not only the operating system is included free, but there's a whole bunch of applications that are included with that. And there's no bloatware. Now, a lot of times when you get a Windows PC, there's a lot of like, try this for 30 days kind of software on there.
Right.
And you don't have that on the Mac. Another good thing is they make some of the best trackpads around, and I really enjoy that. And then, if believe it or not, people claim it's a lower cost of ownership. You could look at what some of the things that IBM has done. They've switched over to Mac because the cost for them, the reduced maintenance and training, saves them money. Now, I don't know whether that'd be for individual or not, but and here's another clickable link right here, and which I think might be probably the same as on the first sheet or very similar to it. But when you see those on your slides, you can click on those and see where it takes you. Okay, now I want to talk about the iCloud and the synchronization. And this is a graphic put out by MacMost website. Gary does a pretty good job on his website. He's my favorite YouTuber, podcaster, blogger, and trainer and book writer. Well, I don't like some of his book aren't as good as some other people, but I really enjoy his work. But these are all the applications that are common to several of the devices. In our case, we're talking about iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and they all have calendars and contacts and notes and reminders, and all the information in these is synchronized through the cloud. So if you update something on your iPhone, it's going to update on your Mac and your iPad the next time you look at it. So as the iCloud photo library, and then this photo stream was kind of a before the iCloud existed way to move your pictures from your phone to your Mac. And they still support that, but that was the original days before iCloud. And then iCloud sharing, you can set up folders of pictures and share those between the family members or who else you invite to look at it. Then the iCloud does a backup of the iOS devices. It doesn't back up your Mac. And when I say they call it backup, it's not truly a backup. If you added music to your iPhone by a computer, that music will not be backed up. But the other things in the iCloud would be. Also, your passwords. When you update a password in one unit, that password gets shared through all your devices, and your bookmarks and your reading lists and so forth get synchronized for Safari between the things. And then, of course, I use iCloud Mail. Most people use Gmail because they started doing that before the iCloud Mail got going good. And Gmail is better if you have non-Apple devices in your system. It's better because Gmail works on a lot of different units. Of course, iBooks, and Bill talked about that in one of his other iPhone, iPad meetings. And I don't use this very often. I use it a little bit, but I do use iTunes. I'm not signed. I don't pay for Apple Music right now, but there's another thing down here called iTunes Match. If you have a lot of music that you have ripped off of CDs and put it on your unit, you can pay Apple a fee, and I don't remember whether it was. I think it's $25 a year, and they will go on your computer and look and see all the music you have and give you a use of their library for those individual songs. So you'll have their quality of songs, and it can be shared between your devices with the same username, not other family members, but it has to be logged in with the same Apple ID. And that's a service that's pretty unique. I haven't used it. I do load music from my computer to my iPhone, and I walk every day, so I listen to my music on my iPhone. Now, they have something called Find My iPhone, iMac. They've also added some tags. This slide needs to be updated. But this is where you go in and you can, if people have given you permission, and then as an example, my wife and I often look up and see where we're at. You know, if she went shopping or somewhere, I can tell whether she's on the way home or whatever. I don't have to bother her with a text message. I can just look and see where we're at. If we're going to meet with kids and grandkids at Disney World, our kids give us temporary access so we can find out where everybody's at, when they're going to get to the park or that sort of thing. This is really good. That's the Find My Friends portion, but this is sort of all changed into one here now. And then they have the iWorks. Apple calls this, or used to call it iWorks, but this is Pages, which is like Word. This is Numbers, which is like Excel. This is Keynote, which is like PowerPoint. Okay. So all of these devices, and you can go onto your iCloud at www.icloud.com, log in with your Apple ID, and there's some online software that will allow you to write and make spreadsheets and do Keynote presentation or edit all of the files that you have. And of course, iCloud also, you can store files here. And then here's a web link to what Apple's website has to say about iCloud. Okay, now we talked a little bit about Apple continuity. I mentioned that, but this is where you can move your work between these devices here. Now, there's not a lot of work you can move between Apple Watch, but primarily these three. And people, I don't think, use an iPod Touch too much. They're really an iPhone that can't make phone calls. It doesn't have the cellular radio in it. But it's more like a small iPad. But anyway, handoff where you can switch from one device to another. Universal clipboard, I can go and copy something off of one device and paste it on another. I can see something on my phone, copy it, go to my Mac and paste it in. I can make iPhone cellular calls through my iPhone. I mean, with my Mac through my iPhone. I don't do this very often. I can use text messaging so I can text when I'm working on my Mac. I can text and send and answer text right from my computer. I don't have to take my phone out of my pocket. Another thing that some of your other devices, say if you have a Wi-Fi iPad or a Mac that's not hooked up to Wi-Fi, they can force your, if you're on the same Apple ID, it can force your iPhone to create a hotspot for you and let you use that. When I log into my Mac, or whenever I have to use my password, I can use the auto unlock instead of my password. And it's right here, use your Apple Watch to unlock apps and your Mac. So instead of typing in my password, I can use my watch. I don't know if you heard it, but see this picture here? My watch made a little clicking sound there, and I probably is upside down. But anyway, my watch is telling me to double tap my button to approve. Now, some of the newer, the iMac, the 24-inch iMac, you can upgrade and buy a keyboard that has a fingerprint reader in. They just now released, you can buy those keyboards separately, but they only work with M1 Macs right now. Now you can continuity camera and sketch and markup. You can be working on your Mac and take a picture using your iPhone let's see if I can bring up here. This is one of the ways that I've just made the dot come up like there is on the iPad. And one of the ways I like to use it, if I right click it, or in my case, 2 fingers on a trackpad, it shows me the last 20 things that I was working on here. Okay, these are my notes about the August classes here. And if I insert, this is the menu, Pages is the software, the text, the word processing software. And I go over here to insert, and I come down here, insert from my iPhone or my iPad. I can take a photo, I can sketch on my iPhone and add it to this document, or I can scan a document in. And if I scan it in, I'm going to take my phone out. Oop, I messed that up. Let me try that again here. Okay, now it opened up. I'm going to back up and take a picture of that screen. And now I can adjust the cropping here on my phone. I didn't do a good job of it, but just to show you. There it is. That's the picture I took. Like I said, I didn't do a good job cropping. Now I took that picture, and now this is part of my document. Okay. Well, I don't think that turned out so well, so I'm going to undo that. Okay, I also could have made a sketch or just use the camera. And Sidecar is something new that you can actually make your iPad become a secondary screen for your Mac. And you, not only that, you can use the pencil on the iPad and draw things and end up as part of your document in the Mac. An AirDrop, I believe everybody knows about AirDrop from your iPhone and the iPad, but you can directly send things to that. Let me see if I can bring up AirDrop here. But we got to wake stuff up here. Okay, it's seen my iPad and my iPhone. I can send something directly. There's nobody else here with a iOS device here, but okay. And then like I say, here's some more information about it. A link to what Apple has to say about that. Okay, now I want to show you some items that are might be familiar to the iPad users. And I'm going to show you something called Launchpad. And I'm going to use my trackpad. And my trackpad, I have a keyboard and I have it taped to my next to my trackpad. Trying to get in position. My camera's not showing it, it's phasing it out. But anyway, if I bring my 3 fingers and thumb together, like I just did, that brings up a picture that sort of looks like the home screen on your iPad. And I see by these dots down here, there's actually 2 of those screens. So I can take 2 fingers and slide left or right on my trackpad and see between here. Now I can just click on one of these things here and start an application, but there's a search box at the top. And this is sort of like pulling down on your iPad or your iPhone and bringing up that search. But since I'm in Launchpad, the search is going to be limited just to apps. And if I type the letter C, now it's reduced to apps that have the letter C in either the first, second, or third part of the name. And you can keep reducing it down until you find the app that you want. That's Launchpad. Okay. Another way you could start an app would be to hit over here, and I could start typing in contacts, and it typed ahead. I only typed in the CON, and right here, it's as part of the search. It's a universal search. It's searching a whole bunch of stuff on your computer and the internet. It's searching, looking for documents. It's looking for applications, contacts, that sort of thing. That's a universal search. Whereas the search in the Launchpad was just looking solely for applications. Okay, now let's go back to our slides here. Other thing I forgot to show you that would look familiar to you. If I hold down on one of these, it causes these things to jiggle, and this is how you move things around. Or I hit the X, and that's how you uninstall. Now there's some things that are sort of built in that Apple doesn't want you to uninstall. There's probably a way to uninstall them, but it's not this simple. But all these jiggling apps could be, and I've just clicked out here, and that stops the jiggle. Now the app switcher. The app switcher, when you're on the iPhone or the iPad, on my iPhone has a home button. It's a 2020 SE, and I just double click my home button to see all the apps. But in this case, what I have to do is I hold the command key down and the tab key, and that brings up the apps that are running. As I hold the command key down and keep tapping the tab, it switches from one app to another, and it wherever I let go, it goes to that app. See, Safari. We're in Safari, but I don't have a window open there. Let me try that app switcher again. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna switch to mail real quick. I didn't have a window open there. Okay, go on there. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to go to Safari. I don't know why I didn't open the window, but okay. Search. I already talked about this search up here, but there's also a search in the Finder window. You have a separate search here, similar to this, but this search is different than that search because this search does not search the internet. This searches the Mac and the internet and the outside world and your network. This is limited to, when you do the search, it's limited to right now it would just be in my documents. But if I did that kind of search, this is, I've got it sorted here by types of documents. But these are only documents. It's not going to find application, software, or anything like that, just documents. Okay, then Apple Care. Apple has, when you buy a new device, you get a sort of a warranty, and then you get free help on the phone, or when you go into the Genius Bar at the Apple Store at the University Mall, you get free help there, and you can pay extra to cover your new machine. I believe it's up to 3 years, and I still have coverage on my 2018 that I have. And then also multi-touch gestures or something that's on the Mac that's similar to the iPad. And if I go into here, go into settings, system preferences are sort of like your settings on your iPhone, iPad. If I go down here to trackpad, it brings up, I have, these are 15 different things you can do with your iPad or your trackpad. The trackpad knows how many fingers you put on it, from which direction they're moving. And you can turn these things on or off. This lookup detector here, for instance, is, if you can, I can't make this screen bigger, but up here, the cursor's over a word and the person is just tapping with 3 fingers, and that brings up the dictionary and the thesaurus and something else, but to look that word up. And then here's how you right click. And as I move my cursor around here, the view on the right is demonstrating how to do this. And to do a secondary click, you can have any one of these. You can use the corners or 2 fingers. I choose 2 fingers. And I like the clicking sound. And you can also do scroll or zooms, you know, the pinch it, zoom in and zoom out, just like the iPad. And the smart zoom, when you're on reading something, you double tap with 2 fingers and it enlarges just part of it, the part that you're trying to read. And of course you can rotate. And then there's some more gestures here. This is how you can swip between pages if you're on the website, so forth. And you can do full screen apps. There's a whole bunch of things. Here's this Launchpad. When I brought up the picture that looks like the iPad of all the apps, that's the motion I was making on my trackpad. You couldn't see that, but that's what I was doing to bring that picture up. And then to show desktop, go like that. Now, app expose, by bringing 3 fingers down, it shows you all the apps that are running at one time. So if I do that, let me go ahead and open up all of these things here. Okay, now when I bring my fingers down, that shows me I've got 4 different apps, and that's running on desktop 1. You can have virtual desktops and you can slide in between desktop. I don't have anything working on that desktop, but I do there. I also have a screen on the right. You can't see any of that, but it shows a similar thing on there on the right. Okay, now I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, here's a link to some tips for Apple switchers. And if you're thinking about switching, you might want to look at this area, and it gives you a whole bunch of stuff of common or similar tasks on a Mac compared to a PC. And I'm not going to go through those today here. Now, my next class is going to be next Thursday, and it's going to be my list of resources. I'm going to share all my web links and some of the shortcuts and stuff that I use. And I'll be putting out a notice to all the people on my mailing list. Now, there's 5 of people here today that aren't on my regular mailing list. If you would like to be on my mailing list, just send me an email with your name, your email address, and your STUG number, and I'll add you to the mailing list. And I mail out news of a new class before it's posted in the Monitor and on the Apple or on the STUG website. And as you can see, sometimes these classes never even get published because I'm sort of a last minute person, and I don't really allow proper timing for all the volunteers at STUG to do their part, so my information appears where where it should be. But if you're on my mailing list, you'll be able to see that. Do we have any questions on today's presentation so far?
There's a couple of things in the chat box. Tim Childers
Okay.
asked, is there a way to use another Mac as a second screen? And then he answered that. But he found your iMac as a display with target display mode, and he put a link in the chat box for it. But he said it's only older iMacs, 2009 to 2014.
Right.
Do you have anything you want to add to that, or?
No, he's correct on that. There was a window of Macs there that you could do that. They've done away with the target mode. It was a mode that you can boot your Mac up into a recovery, or if your software is shot, your disk is broke, you can come into recovery mode, but you can also make it a target so one of your other devices can use the screen. And yeah, I'm not in a position, I don't own any Apple Macs that have a screen with them. I'm using the iPad mini, which doesn't have a screen, and I have to furnish my own screen. When you buy a mini or the Mac Pro, which is a tower unit, you have to bring your own everything. Bring your own keyboard, mouse, trackpad, microphone, camera, speakers, all that sort of thing. But which is very expensive the first time. But if you're like me, when I switched, I had all that other equipment working. I just had to reconnect it to my new box. And as time goes on, you can replace those individual pieces, your monitor. I've had 3 different monitors during my time here, and I've changed in keyboards and so forth. I think I'm on my 3rd set of keyboards. When they make an improvement to a keyboard, I usually feel it's worth my time and money to upgrade to that.
Didn't you say earlier you had a second screen? How are you doing that?
Well,
do you have a second monitor or a second?
Yeah, I have
screen?
I have 2 monitors, and I can control the one that you're seeing is this one here, and I can move the control to that one there, which that really didn't work because it ended up.
Yeah, we see what's on that other screen.
Oh, okay. Now I got to switch it back here. Let me gather the windows. Okay, this Mac, this M1, can only drive two screens right now. My older Mac, and my camera is not working well because of the virtual of the background stuff, but my older Mac, which is my 2018 Mac, could drive at least 3. And then there's some other hardware things you can do to drive additional screens. But here's my old Mac Mini, which, well, this is my middle one. I've had 3. This is number 2. This is a 2018. It's got an i7 in it. As a matter of fact, I've got a slide here in the addendum. I started out with this 2011, then in 2018, this was working fine. It's still working, and I gave that to somebody to use to try out. And as far as I know, it's still working. I did upgrade it from what was gifted to me. Originally, it came with 2 gigabytes of memory. I took it apart and boosted it up to 8. This one could have taken 16, but it was still expensive enough. I only needed 8. And I put a solid state drive in there. And I took the spinning drive, the 512 spinning drive that came with it, and put it in there too. So it had 2 drives, a 512 SSD and a 512 hard drive, or spinning drive. Later, I changed the spinning drive to a 1 terabyte. And so what I did is I used the 1 terabyte as my backup, my time machine. And then I did a separate backup to store stuff in my safe deposit box off-site. But this newer Mac, and I switched to this 2018 because eventually the latest operating system, when it wouldn't work, when it went to 1014 software, it wouldn't work on this unit. And I already, the last couple of revisions, I was already missing some of the upgrades. They had added the capability to unlock your Mac with a watch, but it wouldn't work on my Mini because my Mini was too old. The Bluetooth in there wasn't the right vintage, so it didn't work. So that's the main reason I upgraded. But if you happy running, it still runs 10.13, which Apple is still updating today. They're putting security updates in it. They're not adding any features, of course, but I wanted to be a little bit more current with the capability. So I upgraded to this, and this 2018 was offered in 3 different computer chips, an i3, an i5, and i7. I got the biggest chip. I knew I would be satisfied with 16 gigabytes of memory, and it'll hold a lot more than that. And I knew I was happy with the 512 gigabytes of hard drive. And you can see that this machine here did like an HD resolution. Now it's talking about the resolution it would drive on an external monitor. There is no monitor on the Mac Mini, but this is a 4K device, and it will run 2 4K devices. And now I've switched to the M1 chip, not because this one will still run the current software, but I just was curious to know what the M1 would do. Now you can't get more memory. This is a misprint here. This should be 16 gigabytes, and I only have 8 actually. I bought this a used one. I wanted 16, but 8 was what available, and so I bought that. I really haven't had any problems. A lot of people say the unified memory that's in this is worth more than the old style memory that they had. Now this will take a 6K monitor and a 4K monitor, and then we'll run the current software. I'm not even using a 4K monitor. I'm just still using my HD monitor and plus a television. My second display is a television set, so I switch that back and forth between it being a second display and it being a television set. Any questions? I might as well go through this slide here. This is I compiled some pricing information here on the cost of the cheapest M1 Mac, and these are the 4 current models that are being sold with M1: a Mac Mini that I have, and a MacBook Air, and a MacBook Pro, and an iMac. Wait a minute, I'm gonna get rid of this. Telemarketers. Okay, and these are all comparable in memory and SSD. Now here's the Apple list price, brand new. That's what you can buy it on Amazon. The last time I looked, it's probably could even change today. And then if you buy the refurb version from Apple, so you can see there's a little bit of savings there. Also, you can buy used computers on eBay, and unfortunately, Apple holds their values pretty well. And so even a used one is kind of expensive. And here's some YouTubers if you're interested in reviews on Macs. I've listed a few YouTubers here and a link to their YouTube website. Now, when you go there, this is a complete, I didn't point to a particular review, but these are all kinds of stuff that they've put out. And I keep pretty close tabs on all of these YouTubers here. Any questions? I don't know, I either dazzled you or put you to sleep or something. Okay, I don't have anything more. I just want to remind you, if you want to be on my mailing list and you're not currently on the mailing list, send me an email. And I will be offering a course next week with my references. And I guess I could give you a little preview of what those things look like. So I'm here different Apple support websites, information for beginners, news websites, users groups, training, repair, help. So we're going to discuss a lot of things next week. That's all I have. I'm going to go ahead and end it. I think I'm going
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thanks very much.
showing up
Thank
today.
you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good presentation.